I shouldn't thank you for turning out because I didn't organise this, but I wanted to come and tell you the situation as it is, not as it might be. I have been for 16, 17 years a passionate supporter of our community hospitals, be they in Exmouth, Sidmouth, Budleigh or here, and I continue to be so. I got a meeting with Jeremy Hunt for the election. I've had a meeting last week with Ben Gummer, the minister in charge of all this, along with all Devon health leaders, and it seems to me that where these rumours are coming from, that this hospital is in any way under a threat, I can't fathom. But all I would say... Okay, well, look, all I can do is read a letter I've just received from... Tim Burke. Well, why don't you come stand here, so I think everyone else is here. If you get rid of those horrible anti-media posters, that's fine. From Tim Burke, who is the chairman of the Northern, Eastern and Western Devon Clinical Commissioning Group. 19th of May, so it's a pretty new letter. Dear Hugo, thank you for your letter dated the 11th of April 2016. We expect that financial arrangements for the community hospitals are likely to change following the transfer to NHS Property Services. The local NHS is working with NHS Property Services and the respective local communities to find a solution that is in the best interest of the patients we serve. We believe that the transfer of ownership of community hospital buildings to NHS Property Services will not inhibit the realisation of health and well-being hubs. We are working closely with NHS Property Services to agree leasing arrangements to ensure this is sustainable for all partners within the hub. We remain committed to delivering the health and well-being hub in Budleigh Salterton. We maintain the view that Budleigh Hospital provides the perfect pilot site for this exciting and innovative model of social care, which incorporates a focus on increasing well-being and prevention of ill health. Our commissioning intentions, agreed by the CCG governing body in July 2015, emphasise the need for a focus on prevention and the intention to develop local sites into community health and well-being hubs. These intentions remain firm. Our commissioning intentions also named Ottery St Mary Hospital as a hospital that could be developed into a hub in the future. At the moment, stroke beds are temporarily based at Ottery St Mary Hospital, and we do not have a final date for their relocation yet. We are currently reviewing and agreeing the clinical services that will be delivered from Budleigh Health and Wellbeing Hub based on the local population need. We recognise the frustrations around the delay of new services at Budleigh Hospital and the implementations of Hub. We are working with the League of Friends, etc. about Budleigh Hospital. So that is the latest. Now, nowhere in the meeting I had last week at the Department of Health with Ben Gummer, the Health Minister, and other Devon leaders, at no stage during any meeting that I've had with Jeremy Hunt has the issue of closing any of our community's hospitals come up. Indeed, MPs like Dr. Sarah Willison and myself are absolutely passionate and remain passionate, as does Neil Parish next door. So, I admire your support for this hospital. I think that's great. The community have always supported this hospital, as they do in Budleigh, as they do in Sidmouth, as they do in Exmouth, and they should continue to do so. And we must make sure that we get the kind of services and hospital we want. But as I stand in front of you today, as your local MP, we have to adapt our hospitals for changing clinical needs. Yes, Claire is right. The local health authority is in debt to the tune of £80 million currently. That needs to be addressed. But the idea that, well, we're spending 10 billion more on trying to get in. And all I would say is that the idea that moving these community hospitals into the new company, which, as Claire says, is under the direction of the Secretary of State, as a way to selling them, in the case of East Devon, is not. It's true that in some parts of the country, Westbury for instance, where the hospital wasn't used for about 15 or 20 years, they have sold off and provided much affordable housing for the local community. But that's because the hospital... Well, want to build houses for local people, but where there's a hospital not being used and is sitting on a site which could benefit the local community, I would argue that in the interest of the local community, it's quite a good idea to build houses. That is not the case. That is not the case in Ottery St Mary. That is not the case in Budley Salterton. That is not the case in Exmouth, and that is not the case in Sidmouth. Those are the facts. You can choose to interpret how you like, but I continue your vigilance. We're going to keep this hospital going with your support. We're going to make it even more relevant to the local community. I'm not going to convince any of you today, because some of you here have your own agendas, but those of you who are open to listening to the facts, thank you.